Welcome back to Pipeline Profits. This is the podcast that is designated and dedicated to everything sales and marketing for real estate agents. I think we are borderline obsessed with it, or maybe not borderline, maybe we just are obsessed with it.
Full on.
And today, I think we have someone that joins us on that mission. We're both very excited for our guest today.
Yeah, today's guest has sold over $1 billion of real estate in her career. When you go up against her in a listing presentation, you know you're probably going to lose. She always has the best looking listings that sell for the craziest prices. Honestly, if I was going to sell a piece of real estate in Toronto, I'd probably hire her personally.
Oh man,
we know her well.
This person is someone who Ryan and I both met when we actually met each other. I also met her for the first time. This is like arguably the biggest sweetheart in real estate I think there possibly is. You feel like you've known her or that she's like a part of your family after you've spent like 20 minutes with her. She is so kind. She is someone that we both admire considerably in this business. We look up to her as a mentor. We appreciate her friendship, and we could not be happier to have the guest that we do today. Today, we are very happy and honored to bring to you the one and only Heather Hadden.
What up? What up?
The nicest intro ever. Like, I could cry. You guys are the best.
You should cry. It would probably make our reels go like way more viral.
Okay, I'll try. No, I'm just kidding. That was so nice. No, I'm so happy to be here.
This is our first
Heather.
intro, Ryan.
I know it was our first joint intro. Usually one of us does the intro because one of us knows the person better than the other knows the person. So Heather, tell us a bit about your journey and how you ended up in real estate. Where did you find that passion, and where did you decide when and how did you decide real estate was going to be the career for you?
It's so funny because I started out as a teacher and I taught grade 1 and then I taught grade 2 and grade 3. My younger sister was a real estate agent in Kingston, and she just seemed to have the best life ever. Like, she would, like it would be December and she would be doing nothing. And I was just, not that I wanted to do nothing, but I was so fascinated. And she just seemed to have this great life. So I realized that I actually don't thrive in a situation that is that's everything is the same every single day. So I thrive in chaos, basically. So real estate made sense to me because it was so exciting. Like, whatever I put into it, I would get back from it. And I love that idea. And so I started, I got my license while I was teaching, and then I was going to take a year to see like if I could survive, basically. And in the beginning, I thought I wouldn't. But I managed to survive that first year, and then I just never looked back.
How has your experience in teaching been translatable to you becoming a real estate agent and now a leader?
I don't know. Well, I think I really like mentoring people and teaching people. And that's why I've come up with this course now. And I really want to sort of give back so that people don't have to make all the mistakes that I made. I think it's been like 16 or 17 years. So I've tried every single thing. I've bought every lead generating whatever. I like any shiny object that's come in my way. I have just been like, boom, yes. I've bought it all. I've done it all. I finally feel like I have an idea of what is working. And so I want to share that. And in that, I see like my old teacher, Heather, coming out to the surface.
So who's harder to deal with? A grade 1 throwing a temper tantrum or the father of a first-time buyer?
100% the grade 1. Like 100%. I'm not kidding. Like I remember when I was teaching grade 3, and all day there was this one kid in my class. His name was Christopher. And literally the entire day I would go, Christopher. And I remember thinking, like, in defense of all teachers, like, even if I worked like 12 hours straight at real estate, it wouldn't have been as hard as like one day in the classroom. Like it was a lot. I loved it, but I'm definitely happier here.
Now it's changed to Christopher, do you want to buy a house? Christopher.
Yeah. Well, he's probably the age now that he could buy a house, which is very terrifying. But
you should hit him up and be like, since you tortured me when you were so much younger, you're going to use me.
I'm buying a house. Yeah, no, it was really funny that time in my life. But yeah, no. So I've been doing it a long while now.
So you said the first year was really difficult, and you were kind of like, questioning whether or not this is for you after the first 12 months.
Yeah.
How do you go from that to the Heather Hadden that we know now?
So the best story is that I basically was broke. Like I'd been in the business for 6 months. I'd spent all my money. I think I'd done one deal, and I went to my parents for another loan. And my dad was like, you know what? This is it. I'm not giving you any more money. You're on your own. And you can come home and stay in our basement if you lose your apartment. And that's okay. But like, there is no reason you have every single thing that it takes. Like, a successful agent doesn't have anything that you don't. So the only reason that you're not making this happen is because of you. And I was like, I think I cried a lot at that time and thought my dad was really mean. But it made me really see that like I had to take radical responsibility to like, this is all on me, like I can't blame anything. I can't blame being new. I can't blame the market. I can't, like, it's either me or I take responsibility and I make this happen, or I don't. And then at that point, I just thought like, what can I do? And then I started doing open houses for agents like every single weekend, and got better and better at that. And then that's basically how I built my entire business.
Open houses.
Yeah.
Wow. And go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So was there a particular type of open house you would want to work? Like open houses are something I've never done. They're like anti my business. I've maybe worked like 4 in my career only because my clients said you had to. But was there a certain like type of open house that you wanted to work that really worked for you to get buyer clients and to start building your business?
Yeah. Like I think I found I found an open house where I could meet people that knew less than me, which was very little. So any like first time buyer situation where I could be like, oh, I've been in the business for like a month, but I know more than you. I still actually, it's so funny because my first deal that I ever did, I picked up at an open house on this like little condo, and I've been doing business with them for all 16 years. Like all their family,
that's crazy.
Their sister, their brother, their uncle, they're probably like 12 deals from that one meeting at that open house.
So
that's crazy.
I have 2 questions. We'll go to the nurture plan, because it sounds like you got a pretty kick-ass nurture plan and referral program, clearly. But I want to ask you, as a team leader now, is the open house strategy still one that you like suggest, or that you implement with your newer agents that need to build their book of business? Is that how you get them started?
100%. Because like to me, that's the like I have to go sit somewhere for 2 hours, and people that want to buy a house are going to come right to me. Like, what part of that don't I like? Like, I love that. Yes, come everyone. Like, and then I have like a sign-in sheet that is so old school that I've been using for all of these years.
Paper?
You still use it?
A piece of paper. I can't help myself. It's just, I love it so much. And they like, basically it's like, are you working with an agent? No. And then they give me their email address, and then that's my go-to. And then I'm like, here we go. The follow-up, I think, is really, really important from an open house, because basically you want to, like, I'm a huge believer, sorry to go off on a tangent here, but I'm a huge believer in giving people something. Like, whether that's like, some cookies or like some flowers when you arrive at their house, or whether it's information. So if someone feels that you've spent quite a bit of time putting together an email, after an open house saying like, here's all the neighborhood stats. Here's like, these are houses that I think are good for you. These are the schools that you might want to look at. They normally appreciate that. And because it's unusual to get that kind of follow-up from an open house. So yeah, so I that's what I say to all of my agents. Like, they're like, this is a no-brainer. They like, I used to pick up at least like one person in open house, basically.
What? So one actual client, or like one good prospect that you could follow?
No, like an actual client.
Per open house.
Per open house, yeah.
And
now, I think back then it was a bit easier. Like back when I was doing all the open houses.
Yeah.
But it also depends on the market. Like right now, the way, like in a crazy market when people are in the market for like a year and can't get a house because everything has a multiple offer and they're just running around, you find most people have agents. Mm-hmm. In a market like this that is so slow, and there's a whole bunch of people that have gotten mortgage approvals that are just sitting on the sidelines, this is the best time because you can actually go to an open house and like people are coming in and you're like, oh, you don't have an agent? Okay, like, let's go. And so I've been trying to get all of my agents to do lots of open houses.
Do you have any prep work that like you do before the open houses, or teach your agents to do like pre-open house? Open house is Saturday. Like, what do you do Thursday, Friday to get like ready for the open?
Oh my God. Like in a perfect world, I definitely should do prep work. Like everyone should do prep work. I never think I did.
So you don't have prep work for them, but
I mean, ideally, like I've heard of people that are really amazing at open houses and they're like, hey, you know what? You might like the one down the street. So I booked an appointment from 4 to 4:30. I'm like, that's diabolical. Like, that's amazing. Way to go.
Yeah.
I'm not, I wish I were more like that. I like that strategy, but I think it's more of people like liking you and trusting you when they meet you.
So that leads me to my question is, do you have a script to get these guys, or to get people, and especially your agents that are newer, that you're training to work open houses and build a business the way that you did? Do you have a script to get people to actually sign up on the sign up sheet and leave their real information? Because I know, with other agents that I've worked with in the past, or even though I don't do open house myself, I've forced agents that have worked on my team, et cetera, too, or that I've coached. And that's always been a struggle, is like, how do I actually get someone to give me their real information on that paper sign-up sheet?
So it's interesting because I don't really focus on that. Like if someone doesn't want to give me their information when they're meeting me, they're probably not someone I'm going to work with, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I generally just pay, but I'm very quick. Like if you're not signing the paper, I'm probably not going to invest a lot of time. Like if I was really, really, really like, I have to pick up like 5 people from this open house and I'm going to do every single thing in my power to do that, maybe. But I generally just, the people that sign up and give me their info are normally the people that I'm chatting with and like having a good relationship with as it is.
And then when you're like, let's say doing the tour on the open house and somebody new comes in, are you like, okay, I got a good thing and I'm rocking with it and I'm going with this thing? Or are you like, hey, I'm going to like leave this thing and go see if there's another opportunity over here? Like, how do you assess that situation?
From my sign up sheet. So, if you like, I immediately can see if they have an agent or not, and if they've put in their information. Yeah. So I'll spend a bunch of time with, like, I'll start talking to them, but I'll never go around the house with them.
Okay.
Like I'm in one spot and then someone else comes in.
So you keep yourself in the kitchen at all times?
Yes.
How do you sneakily look at that sheet without it being like awkward?
You know what I even say? I'm like, I'll look at it. And if it's messy handwriting, I'll say like, wait a minute. So sorry, just to be sure, because it looks like you might want more information. Is this GH blah, 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 and then I'll write it again. And then I'll make like a note and then I put the sheet behind. So it's just a quick way for me to quickly evaluate like who I need to concentrate on and who I don't. And I'm not doing a bad open house for the people that don't. I'm just really asking questions to the people that do.
Right.
And then sometimes I'll have like cupcakes or, I forget what I had, like candy or something that I can like give out because of my whole thoughts on like once you give a gift, there's a different sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And I find that works well too.
I like it. Those are some ninja hacks.
Ninja hacks. Yeah.
So, I think, what effect do you think the presentation of the home you're sitting in at an open house for has on you actually getting people to sign up? Because like you're telling me like, I don't really do anything special, but if I know like one thing that's special about one of your listings is like they always look amazing. Like you don't bring something to market that isn't presented in the best possible way. Do you think that like, were you conscious that this may make people more likely at your open house to sign up, or did this just happen by chance?
It's so funny. I've never thought about that, but I do it intentionally. Like I do make every house, I want every house to look the same. Like I want it to be like its own brand, if anything, so that if you hire me, you can see that this is what I'm going to do for you. It isn't like some are good, some are bad, blah, blah, blah. And I think that makes a huge difference in getting listings and attracting sellers. But I don't know if it makes any difference on the open house front. Like I would say to agents, sometimes the houses that need the most work and like are the worst are also the cheapest. And you get a ton of people through an open house. So I wouldn't judge a book by its cover in terms of open houses, as far as like with all the ones that I've done. I haven't noticed a difference, but I don't know. It's so interesting.
I want to know, okay, so we have the Heather Hadden with us today, which is like, arguably the most gorgeous listings that you've ever seen. Amazing marketing for every listing. Like you get a Heather Hadden email and you're an agent and normally you'd be annoyed. You're like, oh, fuck, this person's sending me an email with their listing. But you get a Heather Hadden email and you're like, I want to see what Heather Hadden is doing. Like, and she's always doing great stuff. You said that you started open houses and that was like the thing that got your business, growing to where it is today. Meaning we obviously were able to, what my friend Tom Story would call the listing multiplier score. When he gets one listing, he tracks how many other pieces of business come off one listing, and he wants to have a 2.5 times listing multiplier score. So he gets 2 pieces of business for one listing that he gets. Clearly, Heather's got some type of like magic or something going on with that. But how did you gain the confidence to get your first listing? Because that's a huge hurdle for a lot of new agents. They like start as open house agents and they're like, I want to become a listing agent, but it seems like this big thing. So what was that for you?
I was terrified and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was so bad. Like, I remember like going into a condo that I was listing and I just had like a little scratch pad and I was like taking notes and I had no idea. Like I had no presentation. I was just hoping for the best. And, so in the beginning it started just with people that like I know. And then there was someone I met off an open house that had these 2 big things to sell. And I was terrified. Like I was terrified of even filling out the listing paperwork. Like it was too much. I was so scared. I didn't know what the hell was happening. So I got someone at my office to help, that knew what they were doing. And then after I got a couple under my belt, I was better. But most of my clients when I was little, most of my clients when I was younger were first-time buyers. So like I was so heavy on first-time buyers, and that's like all the open houses I did were for first-time buyers. So it was like all of my friends were first-time buyers. So heavy with first-timers that eventually, like 5-7 years later, that's when it sort of started. And then it became like, I don't know, I would say like 70% buyers and 30% listings, and then maybe 60-40, and then maybe 50-50. And now, well, I'm mostly dealing with the selling side of everything.
When did you transition to getting staff then? So you were like 100% first-time buyers, slowly started to see that like threshold build up of listings, buyers, and you started to like see that curve overpass. When was it that you were like, okay, I actually need some staff to be able to help me scale a little bit further?
Well, it's so interesting. So like, I feel like when I started a real estate team, it wasn't even a thing. Like there may have been like partners, like I can think of, a couple partnerships, but like the real estate team was not a thing. Mm-hmm. So over years, I've had so many different models of help, like how to work it out, and like so much trial and error on this whole thing, and no manual and no anything. Like it's just the Wild West. Like, hey, you want to be on my team?
Just figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, great. We're on a team. What does that mean? I don't know. So in the beginning, I actually, there was a girl that was a newbie, and she was like super keen. And so I just gave her 10% of everything that I was doing and a whole bunch of leads that like I were extra. And she was doing like a whole bunch of showings for me and all the paperwork. And it was amazing. It changed my life. So I got to focus on all the things that I wanted to focus on, and she could take some of the weight off. And I think that's actually exactly the time so this was 10 years ago. So I had just had my daughter, and I couldn't be what I was before. And I feel like in the first 6 years, it got so busy that I was having nervous breakdowns. Like, oh my God, I'm dying here. Like just working all day, every single day. And then 8 years ago, I got an admin assistant who is still with me now. Oh my God, I couldn't love her more. I'm like, you better be with me until you are old and gray. You're never leaving me.
Just stuck to you, eh?
Yeah, it was so funny. Today, she texted me and she was like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, and then she's like, don't worry. It's not about me leaving or money. And I was like, oh, you know me so well. Because normally I'm like, what's going on? And so she came on 8 years ago, and that changed my entire, everything. So that was what, the admin stuff was the stuff that I hated the most. And once I got that gone, and then over the last 8 years, I've sort of delegated everything more. Okay, what else don't I really like to do? Okay, we're going to delegate that. Do I really want to do all the showings on Saturday? No. So I'm going to delegate that. What are the things that only I can do that I love to do the most? And how do I just spend time doing that? So now I feel like really all I do all day is focus on getting buyers and sellers, the pipe, feeding the pipe. Mostly sellers, because we have lead generation now for buyers. But it's kind of my job to go get listings and then solidify the listing and manage the team and think of weird creative things that we're going to do next that may or may not work.
What is when you say finding the sellers for Heather Hadden? What is your strategy now? Because we've got content. I'm sure we talked about the listing multiplier score. So what are some strategies that you use to kind of piggyback off of your already amazing success to be able to continue to grow the business in that capacity?
So, okay, I think one thing is a database. So, so when years ago, when we used to run Facebook ads, we would run them for a property. And that was part of our selling, that was part of our package. We're going to promote your listing. We're going to spend hundreds of dollars on, Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. But at the time, now looking back, it was such a waste because they didn't capture anything. There was no capture. There was no name, number, right? And I know.
Oh, you were running ads and you weren't capturing. And you were and you weren't capturing any information from people?
Yeah, we were DM us if you have questions, basically. I know.
Wait, hold on. Who is running the actual
absolute insanity?
I mean, there's definitely a time and place for it, but who was placing the ads? Were you running the ads, or was somebody else running the ads for you?
The team was running the ads. Not me, but someone else on the team was running the ads.
And their campaign objective was just awareness, or were they running lead ads and then not?
Oh, awareness. And you know what? It's so funny. Since then, and this was like 8 years ago. But since then, I still see agents all the time. Like they're focused on how many hits they get on the actual listing, which is important. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree. But it's like if you yourself can get something out of it too, and it can be a double thing, that's even more amazing. The other thing I like about it is when I can lead capture people that are interested, we call them and we're like, I see that you have interest in this, and then try to turn it into a showing for the seller, right? So, so in doing that, so since we started capturing actual names and numbers, we have this it's like a map. Basically, the lead comes in, they then go directly into our database. They go directly into my email campaign. So then they start getting listings. And then we're nurturing them. Then they go on the 11-month nurture campaign. And then they get set up on an automatic list of similar properties to what they clicked on. And then I think they also get retargeted.
Okay. And the list of the new properties that they get, is that through like a specific CRM or somebody on your team like manually setting them up on like a process?
No, it's all automatic.
Interesting.
And then what else do they get? Yeah. So and then
So are you leveraging AI to do that?
Not yet. Like Zapier and stuff like that, but not AI yet.
Yeah.
And then we now have an ISA that calls everybody.
Okay. So lead comes in. So originally you had the ad out. The ad was just an awareness campaign. You switched the campaign objective to like actually capturing leads. I want to stop there for a second because I think there's going to be some people that listen or watch this and they don't really understand the difference of like
I agree. Because I didn't know the difference. And I think a lot of people are just like, okay, I'll put it on Facebook, but don't understand that you can capture someone's info that way.
Yes. And I think that there's going to be people that are on both sides of the coin that listen or watch this and like, hey, an awareness campaign's stupid. You should only always ever just capture someone's contact information. But I want to just reiterate the importance of like understanding what the objective is. Because for your sellers, they want to get the most exposure to their listing possible. And if you need to have some data to be able to back that up, technically an awareness campaign is the best way to show them I was able to get your listing in front of the most people. It doesn't mean that it's going to like translate into anything. It just means that the most eyeballs were exposed to your listing. But if you are like, I'm actually trying to get someone to see this property, there's no way for you to track it on the awareness campaign side of things, or it's much more difficult to track on the awareness side of things.
Right. Because if someone actually really is into the property, they'll give you their info. And that's how you judge how keen they are, basically.
Yes, totally. So it's important to understand that the actual awareness campaigns are usually cheaper to run because you're not actually asking Facebook to do anything, but just show this shit to people. Whereas when you go with like an actual like lead capture type of campaign, it's probably going to cost you more money, but you can definitely understand the outcome because you're getting names and numbers. So for any agents, make sure that when you're like choosing the campaign on the front end of running Facebook, you understand what the hell you're asking Facebook to do because they're two completely different things.
100%. And so because I've had so many listings and run so many ads, like my database is now like 31,000 from all of that. So, I'm sending an email out, and the more people I put in my database, the more chance there are for deals, if that makes sense. Because I'm staying on top of mind, sending them listing after listing, showing them that I'm listing a lot of places. This is what my listings look like. Yeah. Hey, hey, you, it's me again. And so I'm hoping that when they think real estate, they're like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about selling or whatever. So like, it's very common now for me to get emails just from strangers in this database. Like, I think we have gone like in the last 2 weeks, we've gone to 3 or 4 strangers like in my database's houses that I've never spoken to before that have probably been on my list for years and have now reached out because of all the nurture and all the emails and all of the insanity.
So obviously you have a ton of listings, and as we already established, your listings look amazing. What else? Like, are you just sending your listings? What other types of emails do you find work in terms of nurture to get these people who you've never talked to, have just been in your database nurturing for years, to reach out to you? Or is it exclusively, hey, we've got the best looking listings, they keep seeing them over and over again and are like, I want my house to look like that when I list it?
So now, like only in the last 2 years have I done this, and it's been a total game changer. I have these template emails. One is called the Hadden Homes Difference that has a whole bunch of different case studies. Here is this. We sold this condo for $30,000 more than the same condo because of our staging. Or like, here's a house that we got 80, basically here, like it shows all of our success stories. And then we have an email with like the advantage of selling with Hadden Homes that basically says our statistics, what we offer, before and afters, like basically a listing presentation in an email. So if there's any interest whatsoever, I immediately go bam, bam. And another thing that I've realized is because it's all there so quickly, I normally beat everyone else to the punch. You know what I mean? Like they already know what I offer, how everything looks, what I'm saying, what my stats are in the first 5 minutes since they've emailed me. And like I was in competition for this listing for a condo on Bloor Street, and I guess he called like 10 people in, which was shocking, and so I didn't realize, but people couldn't beat us to getting the information in time. Like I was just like, oh, you want to list? Boom, 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 boom. And, everyone, like most people were like, I'll come visit. And then like, I'll put together a CMA. And, like I had the CMA out in like 5 minutes.
Right.
And I've always felt that speed of getting back to someone is so huge. Like it couldn't be a bigger deal. Like even if someone calls or pages me, normally I respond in 5 minutes, and people are like, "What?" Like, they like that.
Yeah, because people are like, when I want the thing, I want it now, and in 20 minutes I'm going to forget about it. So if you can like kind of scratch that itch as quickly as possible, and you're the only person to do it, like it really does set you apart.
Totally.
I want to know about these. Okay, so you when you were talking about the emails, you were talking about email templates. So we talked about the lead thing. Then you said they come into your database. They automatically get set up on the nurture campaign. The ISA is calling them. And then you've also got the email template. So what you were just making reference to was like, let's say somebody is on your nurture campaign. In 3 months from now, the automation triggers them to respond. And they say, Heather, I'm interested in selling my house. From there, that's when you would initiate those email templates to the person, which is like, these are all the kind of like an email for all the frequently asked questions that they would have. Is that right?
Yeah. And then I'd say like, when can I, it's sort of like, I'll say like, when can I come? How about tomorrow at 11?
Right. Okay.
Like, I won't ever leave it like, let me know when I can come over sometime. I'll be like, does 12 work? What about Saturday? Does Saturday at 1 work? Like not in a psycho way, but I'm giving out times and they're like within a day.
Interesting. And okay, so I want to know how much of you said that you were out to 3 or 4 strangers' homes that have been in
strangers.
Sounds really weird.
Stranger danger, yes.
There's just randomly in strangers' homes. How many of those conversations were initiated based on like the automations that you had set up for long-term follow-up? Or were those like people that your team had been manually following up?
Manually from the database.
Okay. And phone call, email, text, like a kind of hybrid of everything? Or are you finding like any strategies working?
So like I can say this, and you guys understand this because this is what your course is all about. And in this market, it's not like it's ever been. Like it requires different things. Like what used to work is, it's working 10% of 100%. Okay. So as you know, right now we're having to work our database like we've never worked it before. Facebook leads, like we have to do these things to get deals. Like, so, like only in the past few months have I found a method that involves, like, it can be the agent or an ISA, but like someone that is following up. Like, you think it's crazy, but if you get it a system that works, like the system that you guys offer, you get deals out of it. Like, I'm watching it. Like, I'm actually watching these listings coming out of this database that was all built with Facebook.
Okay, so with that being said, do you think it was because of the market slowdown? Like, did the market slowdown make you face the music to implement that in your business, and you hadn't before because it was like it was almost unnecessary to, because the business was doing so well?
Like, it was always there, and I would get the odd deal just automatically, but I wasn't like slamming on it. There was like no accountability. There was no whatever. It was sort of like maybe one of my agents will call and then they'll give up and then nothing would happen. So it was like I was sort of, and that's what I realized that weekend with you guys is with Jess, is that I realized that the conversion part of my business, the lead generation was amazing. The conversion part was horrible. Like referral and repeat, cool. We were getting leads and they were just like, down the drain. Bye-bye. See you later. Now we're like, oh no. Come back. Yeah, come here, you're not going anywhere. But it's a different game. The thing that I love about this game, though, is that when the market does pick up, which I think weirdly, but I could be totally wrong and we might laugh about this, I feel like March is the time. I really do. So, okay, so let's say March things pick up.
Market prediction?
What?
That's your market prediction? Is March 2024?
March, the bounce back starts.
March Madness.
March Madness. Yes. Let's see if it happens.
You're putting it out there.
Or it could be March Miserable, but let's hope it's March Madness. But I know that even though this has been so hard, that like the hustling stuff that we're doing now in terms of this lead generation, in terms of hammering it, in terms of all these things, the minute that the market turns, we're going to have both. Like this is going to like this part, I think, that I'm figuring out now that I never would have before because I didn't have to, is going to mean more growth for my future going forward than if than anything I've done, for sure. Like it's like, and I love that it's also scalable. You know what I mean? Like the more like get more leads. Like, and I think it's like, I mean, I think our leads are like $3 or something, like not much. And like,
really good.
I was thinking this yesterday. I was looking at the paper and I saw a company around here that had a whole bunch of listings in the paper. And I remember thinking, like, at companies that I've worked with in the past, they used to force us to buy newspaper. And I know that 1% of people buy from a newspaper, right? Even if it's probably smaller than that. I would take that $500 and I would buy Facebook leads. And I know that even if I was very bad at it, 1 or 2% of those people, like 1 or 2% is going to do whatever. So like, what would you rather? An ad in the paper that does nothing or 2 clients that close? Like it's an absolute no-brainer. I think that's what I've learned the most in this market.
So now that you've realized the follow-up and the nurture of these leads is important and they're not just all going to fall in your lap as they once did, how has that changed your dynamic with your team in terms of expectations of what they're doing, right? Like, have you put in place like cadences they have to follow, certain things they have to do as the leads come in, or are you taking care of all of it for them?
So, okay, this is what I'll say. I think if I had a team of new agents, that would be, I could come in and I could say, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make 5 phone calls a day and then you're going to record it here. And then we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then I'm checking on you and blah, 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 blah. But I think with a team that I've had for years, like you either kind of want to do that or you don't. And if you're not used to doing it, it's hard. So I kind of got to a place where I just wanted to know 100% that my database was being dealt with in a certain way. And then that's why I got an ISA involved, and they just hammer the phone all day. And I don't have to constantly worry about all these leads going to waste, if that makes sense. I tried the team, but you guys know me too as a person. I'm not that person that's like,
you're not going to hold them accountable. Yeah.
They'll be like, I didn't make any calls today. And I'll be like, okay.
No,
you'll be like, either did I.
Neither did I.
Want to go for a glass of wine?
Yeah, exactly. That's okay.
But you know what? I just have to say, I'm so proud that you've put this in place, and that and the one thing that's super kick-ass about you though, Heather, is like, if you're going to do it, like, you do it. You know, I know that you had mentioned before, like, I get shiny object syndrome, but like, you're down to try it and you're down to do it. And I'm so happy that you've done it now, because you have actually seen the results. And I think way too many people try, and then they don't get the results too quickly enough, and then they just bail out of it.
Well, once I see it working so well, I can't unsee it. And I'm like a crazy, if you go by, not that I talk ever about this, but I'm a crazy high start and a crazy follow througher. I'm not a perfectionist, and I hate details. So for me, I'm like, yeah, let's just go. And I won't probably, now that I've found this system that works, I feel safer. I know that there are a certain amount of leads coming in and that they're going to be taken care of. And I'm watching the appointments being made daily. And that makes me really, really happy. Because it's that's the one thing in real estate, I think, that it's almost been impossible to figure out is how do I know how much business I'm going to have, and what does the future look like, and how am I building a pipe? And it's very scary and awful to refer only on referral business, because you never know when or where, or if the market changes and then everyone decides to stay in their house. You know what I mean? So that's definitely been the biggest game changer for me. So yeah.
Because online leads are looking to buy real estate at some point in time, right? Whereas your database or your sphere may not be.
They're like my open house people, right? I know that why wouldn't I want to get in front of people that are actually looking for properties, right? So whether it's being at an open house and meeting strangers or working these leads, I just can't imagine your money going to a better spot in terms of advertising. I would rather take my face on a bus stop or actual leads in my database. I'll take the leads. Cool. So it's funny because it's so interesting how it all works that you guys, we were talking right before we got on here, and I love you both so much. But we haven't talked about what you guys are doing now. We just literally talked about it right before this. And we didn't even have a chance for me to explain how my conversion has changed and how important it is. And so I just think it's so funny that we're all sort of seeing the same thing at the same time. And that is what you guys are now helping other agents with, is that this very thing that we're talking about.
100%. Yeah, I want to. My last question kind of piggybacks off this, and I want to talk to you a little bit more before we wrap up about what you're doing as well. I think the blessing that Ryan and I have had is that we figured this out early, because we worked in businesses that relied on this model, right?
Yeah.
And so we had the opposite effect as most agents, where we focused on that too much, and then the repeat and referral and the nurturing on the back end wasn't as important to us, because we're we know we can always get new leads. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, because you set up these systems, is there any fear? Because you said now you're I feel safe, right? Is there any fear that you safer? Is there any fear that you have where it's if the market came back right now, would I only double down on this, and would I lose that portion that was the OG business for Heather? Or how do you find that? How do you find that balance?
I don't know yet, but delegating, right? Most of these qualified leads, even the listings that come from people I don't know, I give to my team to run with. So, but the referral and repeat, I deal with myself. So it's never, I don't feel like I can't deal with it. And if I ever had to like get another person, I could.
Right.
So it's sort of about like, again, in after this much time, I really only want to work like, no, of course I want to work with everyone, but my repeat referral are like my like real estate family.
Okay, I love it. Well, Ryan and I, there's, I think, very few people that we trust how they run their business more than you, or who have demonstrated success in that capacity. And so I would love for you to just tell our audience a little bit about like what you have going on and like how you might be able to help them. Because what we do is very different than what you do. And I think it's really important that we also showcase how they can be helped if we're not the right fit, like we trust you very, very much.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm just right now, I want to help agents like in a different way. I just want to sort of like share all of my systems and like my presentations and sort of what I do day to day. Just sort of open the books and coach people, and so that they can be successful for 2024, and just take all the things that have taken me 16 years to sort of come together with, to share with them, so they're not recreating the wheel and they can see what I'm doing. So I want to help, and I believe in collaboration and not competition.
I love it. The best. You're the best. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to have you back. I love your journey. I love you shared so much with everybody today. Probably like shared the most insight on tactics that of any of our guests, of what's worked for you, and willing to share your experience. And that's what I love about you.
Well, I love you both.
We are honored to have you as a friend, and we're honored to have you on the show, Heather.
I'm honored.
Hey, look, I just got a notification from Facebook. So much information. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. This was amazing. No, you shared so much. I feel like you're such an open book. And I think the most amazing thing that you said, it was actually interesting that you said this, because I just got off a team meeting and I shared this little diagram that I put together, and it looks so basic. And I was like, you guys realize that it took me 10 years to figure out how to make it this basic. And I think that is something that I think is so amazing about you, is like, you have this aura of making, it's so humble. Like, you make things that are so complicated seem so simple. And it's like being able to take 16 years worth of knowledge and shit that has taken like so much, and then trying to figure out how to put it in this little package where you guys think it's like elementary and it's very basic, but really it's 16 years dialed into a freaking diagram.
Totally. No, it's crazy. Like, you're so right. And that's so nice. You guys are the nicest.
You're the best. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your business.
Thanks, Heather.
Hey, if anybody wants to come find you, follow you, join the course, do a little plug, where can everybody find you?
I am Heather Hadden, or on Instagram, or just Hadden Homes on my website. Just send me like a text or a DM.
Love it. Okay.
Love it. All right, guys, follow Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
See you soon.